Hi class. So today's topic is expected value, and the concept is just as it sounds. It's the value that you expect from some event. So for example, let's say we have a coin, and if you flip the coin and get heads, you'll earn $1. If you flip the coin and get tails, you'll get nothing. How much do you expect to earn from flipping this coin? Do you expect to earn $1, or do you expect to earn nothing? Well, it doesn't exactly make sense, right? Because you won't expect to earn $1 because that only happens half the time, and you won't expect to earn nothing because that only happens the other half the time. An example that can help figure this out is the example of sports. Let's say there's a basketball player, and we want to know what's the expected value as far as like how many points can we expect them to earn in their next game. Well, can you predict how many points they'll earn in their next game? Essentially, intuitively, you probably would think about averaging. So we don't know how many points they'll score in their next game, a lot or little, but if we can average their previous games, then that gives us a prediction for how much they'll score in their next game. We can do the same thing with this coin. If you earn $1 sometimes and you earn nothing the other half of the time, on average, how much are you going to make for each one coin flip? On average, hopefully you figured out that you would expect to earn 50 cents. So let's look at this probability. So heads happens half the time, tails happens half the time. Heads is worth $1, tails is worth nothing. And we can average those results. Half the time you get $1, the other half the time you get 0, and divide by 2, these two outcomes. This works for now to get us 50 cents. However, this only works because heads and tails is equally likely. What happens if we have a weighted coin that has different probabilities? Do we still expect to earn 50 cents on average? No, because heads is going to happen way more often, so we'd expect to earn more. You're going to earn that $1 more often than before. So in order to figure this out, let's go back to the original example, and let's rewrite this averaging. Instead of just adding them together and dividing by 2, what we can do is dividing by 2 is the same as multiplying by 1/2. So half of the time you'll earn $1, and the other half of the time you'll earn nothing. And this is the same as the averaging, but what's nice is that it will help you take into account the probabilities. Essentially, you can multiply a probability by the amount that the probability of an event by the amount that that's worth. And if you add those up, you will get your expected value. So this is what it would look like. We multiply an event's probability by the amount it's worth, add them all up, and you get your expected value of 50 cents still. And what's nice is that even when the probabilities change, this method will still work because you're taking into account how often something happens and its value. This might help us with a more complicated example. Let's take the example of shooting 2 free throws in basketball. So in basketball, if you shoot a free throw, it's worth 1 point, and often you're allowed to take 2 of them if you get fouled. Here are the probabilities. Let's say you're an 80% free throw shooter. 80% of the time you'll make it. And if you make your first one, you get a little bit boost of confidence, you get in the flow, and you have a higher percentage chance of making the second one. If you miss the first one, then, well, you're still an 80% free throw shooter. So these are the results. And how much is each of these events worth? Well, if you make both shots, you will get 2 points. If you make one shot, you'll get 1 point. And if you miss both your shots, you'll get no points. If we want to calculate the expected value of you taking 2 free throw shots, how many points can we expect? You can just multiply the probability of each event by its value. And then you can add up those results. And you'll see that the expected value for shooting 2 free throws is 1.68 in this case. On average, we'll expect you to earn 1.68 points if you're given the opportunity to shoot 2 free throws. So to recap, if you want to find the expected value of an event, multiply the probability of each event by its value, add those up, and you'll get the expected value.